Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call the meeting of the Reedsport School District 105 to order at 5:29. And we do have a quorum, barely, but we got one. Thank you. Would you all please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I don't think we have any changes to the agenda, do we? There are no changes to the agenda. Thank you, sir. And now for the best part of the whole month, and including tonight, accolades. Okay.
Ms. Pranger, perfect. I was actually going to call on you first.
Oh.
So come on up, Mrs. Pranger, and Ms. Pranger is bringing Gabe Van Dorn.
Yes, they were invited. I told them it was between 5:30 and 6. I think I might have got told. Apologize.
Well, let's stall then. We'll wait for him to get there.
Okay.
Oh, exit the stage. Exit stage.
Good. Karen, come on up. Mrs. Lasky has brought you here for a superintendent award, and she's got a nice letter, some cool things that she wants to say about you. Before we do that, you guys can come, please.
To the family of Kaylin Logo, it is my privilege to extend congratulations as I announce Kaylin as a recipient of the Superintendent's Award for the month of April 2024. I have the privilege of being Kaylin's 7th grade language arts teacher this school year. Over the past 7 months, Kaylin has proven herself as an enthusiastic, determined student. She consistently exhibits skills that demonstrate her commitment to academics. Specifically, Kaylin is one of the only students I've seen work on assignments during her lunch period in the library. While her peers engage in lunchtime chatter and laughter, I often find Kaylin's focus unwavering as she immerses herself in her studies. Her dedication to academic excellence is obvious in both how she spends her free time and in the quality of her work. I'm consistently impressed by how Kaylin strives to reach mastery on every standard and how she is willing to make improvements during her free time. In a busy 7th grade environment, Kaylin shines as a supportive friend for her peers who may struggle to speak up for themselves. Kaylin has a natural inclination towards empathy and understanding, which are character traits that I hold close to my heart. She's not afraid to ask for help on behalf of her friends. In fact, she takes it upon herself to ensure that no one feels left behind as we carry on with our lessons. Kaylin also has the initiative to keep her classmates on track, as I often overhear her redirecting her peers that are sitting next to her. It takes a strong student to not only keep themselves focused, but also to keep their classmates on task. I'm proud to say that Kaylin is one of these star students. Kaylin's dedication, hard work, and empathy have not gone unnoticed. I'm confident that this is just the beginning of her success and recognition. I'm excited to watch Kaylin continue to excel during her time at RCCS.
Congratulations.
Can we stand close together? Can you stand in there too? I'm sorry, thank you guys. Smile, Kaylin. Thanks, guys. Great work.
We'll get one more picture before it's all.
That shocked me that you had to ask her to smile.
Mrs. Daly has brought a student with her, Robbie Hammond. Come on.
To the parents of Robbie Hammond, it is my great pleasure to announce that your son is the recipient of the Superintendent's Award for the month of April 2024. Robbie deserves this honor, and I'm sure you are as proud of him as we are at Highland Elementary School. I chose Robbie because he is an exemplary student and citizen. He is kind, helpful, curious, and a hard worker. Robbie makes choices each day to show kindness in our classroom and to help wherever is needed, whether that is assisting his peers to read a passage, help with their classwork, or to clean up our classroom. Robbie is always happy to help. He is a good example of how to be thoughtful in daily interactions and to keep his kindness at the forefront of his actions. Robbie is also conscientious in not only getting all of his schoolwork done and turned in, but in also completing his work with care and dedication. He goes above and beyond on each assignment. If Robbie is asked to write 2 paragraphs, he writes 4. If he is asked to revise or edit his work, he gladly gets started. He is motivated, detail-oriented, and a great example of how working hard pays off. When Robbie found out that he could work towards 100% fluency in our computer math program, he devoted himself each day to that task and was able to achieve that goal because of his interest in learning and dedication. In addition, Robbie comes to class each day with a positive attitude and an appetite for learning that inspires those around him. He is respectful, patient, and involved in all class discussions and is always full of questions. Robbie's curiosity, kindness, and self-discipline will lead him to reach whatever goal he sets for himself. I'm excited to see all of the amazing things he will accomplish in his life, and also so grateful to have him in our 2nd grade class this year. Congratulations to Robbie and his family. It is evident that his curiosity, kindness, and strong work ethic are practiced and supported at home, and we are grateful to see these put into action at school.
That's all good. All right. And our final, I'm not sure about the other one, Mrs. Shell has brought Madeline Rush. Did I say that right?
To the parents of Adeline Rush, it's my pleasure to select Adeline for the Superintendent Award for the Reed Sports School District Superintendent's Award for the month of April 2024. I've had the great pleasure of getting to know Adeline since the beginning of her 4th grade year. Adeline has shown remarkable dedication to her academic work this term, consistently producing high-quality assignments and actively participating in class discussions. Adeline confidently participates in class discussions and her team learning experience for her peers. In addition, her strong work ethic has been an inspiration to others, setting a positive example for her classmates to follow. Adeline is a friendly and sweet student who always greets her classmates with a smile. She is kind-hearted and spreads happiness wherever she goes. Her positive attitude is truly inspiring and brightens our classroom every day. Her friendly and inclusive nature has helped foster a welcoming atmosphere in our classroom, making her a valuable friend to many.
And we need to have my secretary come in here, and we'll bring all the teachers and the kiddos up. We'll get one more photograph, please. And Patty, not yet? Oh.
Well, I'm not yet, so it's up to you.
We can hold a little, and we can do it again in May.
They called and said that they went to the wrong building, so I'm trying to wait for them to show up here, but I haven't been able
I'll talk
to
and stall for a
see
couple
them
minutes.
yet.
What I like to do when I'm listening to these letters and hearing about the great qualities that our students have is kind of look for some themes. And this whole year, I've noticed the word kindness and kind keeps popping up, and we have kind students here. And the shining examples of our students are those who possess that characteristic. I've heard a lot of hardworking and dedicated and going above and beyond. And I think those also were some of our themes tonight as I was listening to these letters. So it'll be interesting what Mrs. Pranger has in hers, but bet me a nickel right now that we hear some of those same themes going on. These superintendent awards, we know that behind every successful student that we have, there's a family and a family unit providing a lot of support because they've got to learn it somewhere to come to school and enact it and enable it. So part of these letters are the opportunity to thank families for what they do the other 16 hours of the day to help their students do what they do in the 8 hours we have them at the school. We're very fortunate to have your students, but we're also very fortunate to have that support that you guys provide from home. So.
I heard a door open.
I think we're getting close. Come on up, Ms. Pranger. We'll stand here and we'll let them. Okay.
Yeah, it sure is.
And all of this is recorded, so it's on our YouTube channel, and so if you want to go back in and watch again or listen to what it is, hey, Gabe, come on up, we're talking about you. All good. It's all recorded, it's on our YouTube channel, and those are archives, so if you want to go back and review it or share it with any other family members, it's there.
Thank you. To the family of Gabe Van Dorn and Gabe Van Dorn himself as representative of his family. It is my pleasure to recommend Gabe for the Superintendent Award for April. The Superintendent Award recognizes outstanding academic effort, and Gabe has exemplified this in my class for the past quarter. I have seen so much growth out of Gabe this year in my English 9 class. Gabe's attendance and engagement have increased dramatically from the beginning of the year, and he is now one of the leaders in participation in his class period. Whenever Gabe doesn't understand something, he is fearless about asking me to clarify. At an age when many students are more concerned with how their peers perceive them than in achieving genuine understanding, Gabe will always take the initiative and ask the question that is on many of his peers' minds. He's always willing to try when we are working on new skills in class and is wonderful about taking feedback to grow. Gabe cares more about pursuing his curiosity than in chasing a grade. I can always count on Gabe to help create a positive and supportive classroom environment. He gets along well with all of his peers, and he is one of the few students I can count on to work well with anyone without conflicts or bickering. Mr. Daly, who has Gabe for Theater Tech, has been impressed with Gabe's team player attitude and willingness to help with whatever tasks are needed. He's even volunteered to fill in on stage a few times. Maybe next year we'll get you, we'll see. Mrs. Molly, his algebra teacher, has also noticed Gabe's good attitude and willingness to try. Gabe is unfailingly positive and polite, and I always look forward to chatting with him. It's truly my pleasure to have Gabe in class and to recommend him for the Superintendent Award.
Congratulations, thanks. She only gets to pick one of these all year long, so you should realize it. She saved this for you.
I did.
Thank you. So, Gabe, this is for you. Thank you. And now all the students and the teachers can
Want
come.
to see one of his individual pictures? Oh,
Would you like to take an individual
with
picture?
mom or dad or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, you and me, kid. Do you want a picture?
Sure.
All right. Got it. Let's get a picture of these two.
Ready? 1, 2. One more time. I'm gonna take it till you smile. There you go. Okay.
We're gonna get a group photo with all of the superintendent award
Teachers and
winners,
students, one more time,
and then you can be really respectful.
and then we got to scrunch in a little bit. Call people in back.
Ready to get together.
Okay. Ready? Come on over. Scooch in here. Ready? I'm gonna take a few of them. So smile pretty. It's going on the website, and you're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry, Dave. I'm glad that you made it though, because I was excited to give that to you. I really know it's.
You're welcome to stay for the meeting. Thank you very much.
I know it was really rough, but you were, every time you're there, you're doing all the things that I would want you to be doing, and I really appreciate it.
Send you the video that I took.
In my office.
Okay, let's move into donations. We have a donation of an Armstrong booth by Debbie Lamb, the value of $100 to our distribution program. Thank you for that, Debbie. Community comments. Individuals may address the board on agenda items. Please let the board chair know which item it is you want to address. You are limited to no more than 3 minutes. You may address the board on a topic not on the agenda if it does not pertain to a complaint against a staff member. However, the board reserves the right to refer the matter to the administration. Anyone wishing to provide public comment or testimony may submit their comment or testimony in a written form or mail to the board secretary. I should say email. Comments and testimony received by 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting will be included in the meeting. Any comment testimony received after 3 p.m. will be saved for the next regularly scheduled board meeting. submit comments to Reedsport School District email stipton@reedsportk12.or.us.org or mail to 100 Ranch Road, Reedsport, Oregon. Do we have any community comments after saying all that?
There's nobody signed up for me now.
Thank you. Reports. Should we skip A and go right to B?
No, I think A is gonna be putting in Rachel. Make sure she's online.
Rachel, are you out there?
I'm here.
Okay, then let's hear from Rachel Amos virtually and Assistant Bench Manager Josh Cook, please.
Okay, so we will start with the projected ending fund balance. Your sheet shows a projected of 176. That number actually is a bit lower than that. After these reports came out, we did some more estimating, looking over numbers and everything. And basically what happened is in March, the state updates their state school fund estimates and everything like that. We took a almost $400,000 hit to the projected amount of funds to be received from the state school fund. Also, in May, they do a adjustment based on numbers that they've got in data throughout the year. Right now, we're looking at about it's in the memo, about 225,000, I believe is what it came out to. And what we base those numbers off of is ADM, teacher experience, and increased local revenue. That number isn't for sure, but most likely that's what we can expect. Our teacher experience is about 4 points lower than the state average. The state is like 11.6 and we're in the 7. And they dock us about 7 years. And they dock us for that. And because of ADMW, that's making an impact on us as well. So our ending fund balance took a $600,000 plus impact from those adjustments. So our almost 700,000 ending fund balance we had got completely wiped out because of that.
As a result, chime in here for a moment. Business managers and I have spent the last 2 days reviewing this, partially for accuracy. We want to be sure that we aren't missing something. And I would be pretty confident saying that between Rachel and Josh, they've spent several weeks now since March 28th, about 2 weeks, it's 1 week, very closely going through this and seeing what it's doing in our district with our sources. We're going to need to take some action in order to correct this for the future. We're going to need to take some action in order to make it through the school year. As we know, it is illegal for a school district to operate in a deficit. We have to be sure that the money we're spending is there, and if we're not, we can't be open. In order to make sure that we meet our required ending fund balance and have money for payroll to get through the summer and start next year, we're at 300. We need to get to an ending fund balance to cover payroll costs over the summer and to start up. And with the numbers, as Josh has been relaying here in the last few minutes, we're going to need to do some furloughing. Furloughs are cuts to school days that the school closes and the staff are not paid. The furloughs are activities in here that we will take district-wide that everybody will have to participate in. And that is to put us at a point that we have an ending fund balance that we can start school next year. Rachel or Josh, jump in if I've summarized that incorrectly.
No, yeah, that's correct. We need to get to somewhere between 300 to 400,000 to cover possible expenses in July. The state school fund, if everything goes right, we get it July 15th. But there has been weird things the last couple of years, government shutdown. The state has been operating a little slow this year. And we just want to make sure we have the money to cover expenses in July.
So you want to see that 176 become 400?
We'd
Based on
love to see it 400, yeah.
Okay.
300 would be, I can.
300 as our kind of target minimum.
Target minimum.
And we better watch it on a weekly basis at that point.
But I thought I just heard you say that upon further review and some calculations, 176 is not going to be correct. It's going to be worse than that.
I
Yeah,
don't know what that number is.
that number was about 60,000 is where we currently sit.
So this document in front of you, when you update it, should, instead of 176, it should say 60.
Is it shrinking exponentially at this point?
It's going very quickly.
625 to the state school fund. That's what it impacted us, basically, 625,000. Because of when
That's the May adjustment?
the May adjustment, we're projecting to be 225. And then the estimated remainder, every month I get the state school fund with a projected estimated remainder. From what they told us at the beginning of the year, we were gonna have a little over $1 million. They made an adjustment this March and told us you're actually gonna get about 600,000.
That was important.
So we take the brunt of that. The state doesn't step up and take any responsibility at all.
They're paying based on the enrollment that we are actually seeing in our schools. When COVID happened, and everything seems to tie back to COVID. When COVID happened, the state did not have an accurate way to track how many kids are in school because so many were at home. And so they just said, we're going to meet you where you were at when COVID started. And whatever number that was, we're just going to hold that and make those payments based on that assumption. That's a bit of a generalization. That's what they did. Last year's money, we are being cleaned up, adjusted for in this year. And last year's money is when they were accurately counting the numbers of students you actually had in schools. Statewide, there's about 10,000 students who were in school before COVID who have not returned to school. That's not just Reedsport, but the entire state is realizing this lack of return. When students don't return to school, you don't get paid for as many students as you had previously. So the entire state, for the most part, unless you are a district that has a higher enrollment, is realizing these adjustments to their revenues because of a lack of enrollment that's going on. So Terry, reading between the lines in your question, should the state be funding education at a higher level more appropriately based on what the schools are trying to do? Or should they continue this antiquated formula that was based on students that, in Measure 5 or Rob Reedsport? And I don't think that the state is doing enough, but I think that the funding system they're using isn't working. They're not going to do anything though in the meantime, because they're paying us for the actual students that we have. And it's these adjustments we're seeing is based on what we had for student population return after COVID. Is that making sense? I hope. It's, I was not here in Reedsport's heyday when we had 1,000 students and there were 3 mills. But Reedsport was one of the richest school districts in Oregon. And that was local control before Measure 5, when the resources here could go filter back into the schools. And Measure 5 has equalized schools throughout Oregon, but in Reedsport's case, that was to a detriment. And the funding formula doesn't serve us the way that it does not serve us now the way that we need it to, and it certainly hurt us in recent history. And it's, when Measure 5 came in and changed everything.
I might have to take a break and go find Pepto-Bismol. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah,
So where is the hat that you're gonna reach in and pull the rabbit out or whatever, the fund? You're gonna have, if we wanna get to 300,000 operating to start the year, where are you gonna come up, where are we gonna come up with the other 240,000?
the action we have to take this year is we're gonna have to cut school days. A day of school right now, we're estimating it's about $32,000. And right now, looking at what we see, we're probably going to have to furlough 8 school days.
8
8.
school days.
Since I spoke with you yesterday,
That's the dive line that
the
we've
thread
taken in
on
one
the
day.
sweater, yeah. The thread of the sweater kept pulling. So and that gets us through the school year. We still need to make corrections to a lower enrollment, to a decreased state school fund, and just an overall decrease in population, birth rates for next year. When you counter that with the costs that we're going to see because of negotiated COLAs and raises and steps and things. So for us, we're going to have to trim the overall staffing programs and systems in our school district to realize a lower revenue source from the state.
So what we're looking at right now is no school in June. Because you've got one early release and you've got a teacher grading day. And otherwise you have 7 days, so your 8 days is gonna come out of June.
Not
Almost
exactly.
entirely.
8 days total, probably is going to have to be in a couple of locations. I think when.
Does that
when we-
lessen the pain that people will feel in their?
Okay, for the practicality of trying to operate schools and have a lower impact on some of the scheduled big activities, right now, before I commit, it looks like the furlough days will probably be the week before Memorial, 4 days, and the entire last week of school, 4 days, and having to split them with a 2-week return to school in between. Things that are happening those weeks, there's enough activity that wouldn't just be cutting school days and furloughing, it would have some other impacts on some programs. We need to put a letter out to staff and a letter out to community nailing this down specifically. So until that letter is finalized, right now, this is our best prediction.
So May 20th through 23rd,
Most likely,
and then the last week, so June
most likely,
10th through 13th.
most likely.
And are those on, I assume that those are on separate pay periods?
One thing that could be discussed with the associations is we still have an April, May, and a June pay period. If we know we're going to furlough and we know we have to do it, we know which days they are, we might visit with the unions about dividing, because it's a cut, it is a pay cut, dividing those cuts for the employees over 3 periods so that they are smaller hits rather than only doing it one time in June where it would be the same amount of money, but a bigger hit that month. And at that point, it's painful either way, and we need unions to kind of help us steer which path we choose.
So you are figuring, I mean, it seems like there's gotta be more to recoup than just furloughing 8 days.
We could lay people off. We could immediately say reduction in force and lay people off. the numbers of days left at an individual level would make paying very individual versus a furlough. It's not good either way, and there would be enough layoffs, we might have to shut the schools down anyway with just regular absenteeism. It may backfire on us. So you can lay off, you can furlough, or you can get some miracle investment to show up.
It's
How much, I mean, this just came from the state, this
March 28th,
with,
March 28th was the adjustment.
and there's no way that we could look to the state for assistance or for forgiveness or for any type of help?
The state school fund is a fixed pool of money, and that money is balanced out for all of the school districts. So they take all of the data for all of the school districts across the state and balance it out so that that sum of money is allocated across the districts by the data that they submit. The adjustments for the current year usually happen at the beginning of March. The state was a month behind because districts were a month behind in submitting data for certain reports that they're required to do. We haven't gotten our May adjustment for the closeout for 22-23 yet. It doesn't come until May. But based on my experience and knowledge of the state school fund, I calculated down to every penny I possibly could with our known information and the updated data to what our adjustment is going to be in May for last year. I would prefer to not wait until May to get that number to come in and then really be in a bind to try to end the year. So it was important for us to calculate everything we possibly could and get to a known number today rather than wait until mid-May to get that to you. There's no help from the state. These are our true numbers. I mean, we were talking like 18-19, our ADMW was 100 weights higher than it is right now. We are in a very, very low enrollment period in the district history in the 6 years that I've been here.
What about other costs, John? Below salaries and benefits, you've got other expenses within the district. Are you looking at reducing costs across the board so that salaries are
Principals and I
impact there is
been
minimized?
talking for several months about just slow down, take it easy. We're canceling a conference next week because it's general fund money that we can't spend now. We realize absolute stoppage, but that's pennies on the dollar.
Right.
To talk about a $400,000 need, $3,000 conference just really isn't cutting it for 6 people.
No, but if you're looking at things like that everywhere you can,
Every penny counts.
every person who spends $1 in the district, thinking they need this supply or that thing, like if everybody's really aware that that is a belt tightening that we can all help make. I know it's little and I know it's pennies, but
Tomorrow
other,
I'm getting scheduled to meet with both associations who are interested. And one thing we need to listen to is any creative opportunities, people thinking outside the box or something that would be a little different, or where we can maybe tighten belts. So some more thought partnering.
are we done with like the retrofit, and are there any costs associated with that we could defer?
There's more coming, but that's all that site rehabilitation grant.
So that the
Start
grant
finish
encompasses
within-
all of it, that we're not matching that anywhere?
Right, that's the match end of it.
Is this also the first that your staff is hearing of it?
This is the first, the staff and community and parents and everybody's hearing of it. And tomorrow, I'm anticipating that we get communication out regarding furloughs, because now people have heard, we need to get that out. Just as an order and a process, first communication we'll put out is try to be as clear as we can about what the furloughs are and when people need to plan. The second level of communication is we still need to come up with a number that's going to work for next year's budget. And we are looking at over $1 million. And there's going to have to be some cuts to programs, to staffing, to systems. And if any of those are individual, we're going to have processes followed for any layoffs or reductions. And that will be a second round of very specific communications to affected people and programs. None of this is good news.
You know, I just worry about a domino effect where you already have, you know, a district struggling with its enrollment numbers. And I worry about that compounding because of this issue.
Well, we're not the only district going through this. I mean, look at Bend over there. They got to get rid of 60 teachers this year and 80 teachers next year. The whole school district that Jervis is talking about pulling the plug and sending all their kids to Woodburn.
Yeah, I mean, just dissolve the district. I mean, this isn't a unique problem. I read the front page of the Statesman Journal, Silverton, which is Silver Falls.
Is this all just hitting the news?
March 28th, we all got our adjustments.
Right.
So 1.5 million at Silver Falls, 8 million next year. This is painful all around. And unless you saw an increase in enrollment coming out of COVID, this is something that you're dealing with. And 10,000 students in Oregon are still missing.
Rachel, is it possible that we could analyze the purchases services and maybe help that bottom line a little bit by maybe canceling some of those services, or would we save enough in order to help that?
For next year, analyzing purchase services absolutely is one of the talking points that we have started with. So administration just got most of this information today, just as you have. And so the initial conversations are, where can we make changes? So that is definitely one of the places we would analyze first and foremost over anything internally with our district personnel.
Is the state going to offer any assistance in planning or rearranging or pre-planning or anything that trying to help us out, or they're just saying, oh, well, sorry for your luck, bye-bye?
There's nothing has come out yet.
Education's been on the back burner for so long.
Yeah.
One thing that we're going to have to do,
Consequences.
this furlough will impact our Division 22, our required instructional hours. And we are going to have to report to the state that we did not meet our minimum instructional hours for the year next October, and create an action plan to make sure it doesn't happen again.
You have got to be kidding me. I want to say words I can't say in public right now.
You ladies in the back might want to plug your ears. Carrie was getting worked up.
So-
What about,
Catch 22.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna hate to bring this up. I wanna say it. Anybody want to be the president of the school board? There could be an opening real soon. All right, I'm gonna throw this out there. What would happen if we, in the very worst case scenario, had to dip into our contingency fund?
That is our contingency fund, Mr. Jones.
That figure there that Josh just gave us?
Yes.
Okay.
This is us trying to stay above zero. This is us trying to operate in the black. This is us trying to get to a dollar amount that will roll over into next year so that we can pay the first bills of July to keep the lights on, keep the doors open, pay the 12-month staff. This is the difference between starting out the school year with the doors open July 1 and not. This is as serious as it possibly can get. Josh and I have been working since last Friday, going over all of our expenditures, what our encumbrances are, which means that we have purchase orders that are open for expenditures that we already know we've committed to paying, and reducing any of our estimates for the last 3 or 4 months on the board report so that we don't have a cushion built in there. And this is the number that he's talking about is where we have come to. We have looked at every possible scenario that we can within the district. Keep in mind, this is the general fund. This is not the other funds that we have. You know, there are things in budget law where if you get to the end of the year and your general fund does dip below zero, you can temporarily borrow from one of your other funds by a resolution of the board to make your general fund a positive dollar, but then you have to pay back that other fund in the next fiscal year. So really, it's just putting the money aside from one fund to another so that you can pay your bills and make payroll, but there's no makeup of that money. It's just our own internal reserves that are keeping us going.
Borrowing from Peter to pay Paul.
The state was really generous during, as John said, during the pandemic and keeping our enrollment numbers really high. But last year and this year is when they are catching us up to our true enrollment over those periods. And so going into next year, even there's still a little bit of a trickle effect because we have been at a higher level this year than what our actual enrollment is. So even next year we lose 10 ADMW, but we're anticipating that now that we have all of this data into the budget for next year. And then we should be able to start staying at that balanced number. But that generosity during that time with inaccurate data is not helping the situation for any of the school districts around the state at this time.
So how creative? Geez, I can't believe I'm saying
Bake
this.
sale? What?
How creative can we get with, you know, with like homeschooling, transfers, kids leaving the district, with those ADMs that we could, you know, maybe make some of this up at the beginning of the year?
We wouldn't make it up that fast. If what I'm understanding is you say, how do we drag a bunch of people to come to Reedsport and think this is the place to be? You wouldn't start realizing that money until we've had an entire year with it it's kind of false money. So it wouldn't be an immediate fix. We need a program that will steadily increase, and then we can start to see some growth in our ADM and the money that trails it. But you don't see an immediate adjustment get made unless something so severe happens, it might waiver them. I think if you picked up an online charter school with 10,000 kids and you say, whoa, you need to pay us correctly here. But a couple kids isn't gonna.
So just out of curiosity, are you also asking your, our labor representatives to think really creatively? Like, you know, how thin can we spread the pain? You know, and it's one of the questions I think you have to really put to people is like, okay, if these are your options, what do we want to do?
I think meeting with the associations and giving them the opportunity to weigh in with ideas is going to be an important part.
Absolutely.
And
they're going to have to hear from their members about
till we've had some of those deeper conversations with them. I don't really know how they would respond or ideas that they'll have. The administration, business managers are the limit of who have put thought into this so far.
Okay.
And there's quite a bit of experience there. And
Yeah.
I believe these numbers now, as far as creativity and what can we do, we can start asking some different questions.
Okay. And then I have another question, Josh and Rachel, about the May adjustment that includes that byline about increased local revenue.
Mhm.
And can you explain that a little bit more and tell us what you know and how is it reflected currently or in the future?
So our state school fund is balanced out by our local revenue, which is our property taxes that are paid. So beginning every school year, you estimate what you anticipate your property taxes are going to be based on what the true assessment is, but also like a percentage of what your constituents typically pay from year to year. And so we try to get that number as close as we possibly can. And then they make up the difference basically of what you have an expected formula of your state school fund. So it's a combination of that property tax amount plus the state school fund dollars. And that makes up your total formula for your school district. So again, I think that I talked about this, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, about the property tax issue that we had in Douglas County, where actually the property taxes are getting collected out of Medford instead of in Roseburg because there was some things that were not being done on the up and up by the assessor that we had at a period of time. So we were given higher property tax amounts and assessments during the end of the pandemic because of that, catching it up to get it to the right assessment rates. So our estimate of what those local revenues were going to be for 22-23 actually came in a little bit lower than what they what we received. And so then that takes the money back off of the state school fund. And as far as the future portions of it, when we go and do the estimate of membership and revenue for every year, we look at what we have collected year to date and we make adjustments in the current year. And so when Josh and I were going through the estimate of membership and revenue for next year in January, we made adjustments to those numbers for the current year so that we are staying as on top of it as possible. We get our first large lumps of payments in November and December. So you get the bulk of it and then it trickles out through the rest of the year. So we make adjustments in January and also during the fall after we get those monies collected.
Thank you.
Welcome.
There's a lot of work to do here. This is a undesirable position to be in. Anytime you close the schools is troublesome. Having to close them under furlough conditions makes it urgent again, trying to make sure that these things don't happen again. Reestablishing our budgeting and looking at this for next year is going to be very important because these kinds of things shouldn't be happening, shouldn't go on. When they do, it's imperative that they don't happen again. So the budgeting process, the reductions we'll need to make in programs and staff and systems are going to be important so that this isn't an annual event.
Oh, yeah, it's a pivot moment for sure.
This is
Looking forward, you have to really think about how you move forward.
We really try to offer the most that we can to our students, staff, and community in our school district. And anything that starts getting scaled back means that we're going to have changes to what's happening. Fewer programs, fewer staff, supporting staff. We're going to see differences in how school has to operate next year because of these pending budget reductions. But we have to get there so that school we operate doesn't experience future furloughing situations. There's a lot of work to be done with the budget to get us back into the right lane of travel so that we can proceed with under the revenue stream that we have.
John, are you and Josh and Rachel ready to meet with staff and stuff tomorrow? I mean, because it's gonna get out.
Yeah, I spoke with administrators today. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock Pacific Auditorium is where I will be. Can't pay people to come to a meeting, can't require them to, but I think it's a high level of interest and I will stay there as long as it takes to get whatever information out needs to be there.
Do we need a pitchfork detector at the door, or you wanna?
I'm gonna take my chances.
Okay.
So right now, our only thought or our only plan is 8 furlough days.
To get through this year, it's going to require 8 furlough days, or it's going to require enough immediate layoffs to portion of staff to come up with this same number. That
So,
would be impactful. I would probably shut down schools anyway.
so if we don't want to see us lose any staff at this point, so then our only option is the 8 furlough days.
Right now,
Will that keep us in compliance with ODE for all of our students or not?
We are going to need a waiver, or we're going to need to turn ourselves in for instructional hours. We're going to miss 13 and a half hours for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors off the required instructional hours for the year. Everybody else will meet their minimums, but those 3 grade levels will be 13 and a half hours short of the required minimum. We'll have to report ourselves to ODE in October on that Division 22 report.
Well, after hearing what I've been hearing in the last 24 hours about all these other school districts, it was, I mean, I'm not making light of it. We're not small potatoes, but I mean, I would think ODE and Board of Education, I mean, that they're going to be hammered because we're not the only school district going through this. And I mean, when you're talking Bend area, you know, with $78 million in the hole or a minus, you know, how soon would they expect us to, I mean, by the time, you know, next year rolls around, are they even still having time to hear from us or help us or?
We're going into the next year will be the long session. And so that's the big year for all the crazy laws and all the good laws that will be considered. And the governor's budget for schools for the next biennium, she'll start working on it.
It's found a new priority.
When Salem Kaiser narrowly avoided their strike, their superintendent sent out a letter to all the other superintendents in the state and just kind of reminding us the importance of advocacy, that the funding formula that the state uses is not working, doesn't provide the right monies to the schools, and the mechanisms are not appropriate, not enough money and not distributed correctly. I'm going to explain something odd because I want people online to understand this. And I'll use the example of summer school. Reedsport School District was awarded the grant for summer school this year, $132,000. We could only spend it on summer school. And there's so many requirements that go into that grant we can't use that $132,000 to help us out with our ending fund balance right now. So we'll be canceling 2 weeks of school because of furloughs and potentially operating 4 weeks of school, summer school, because of grants that is so specific and unwavering that we can't use it to help ourselves out. Under the guise of accountability, the specificity of some of these grant dollars and how you must spend them takes away a lot of control, ability for small school districts to be flexible. All of our staff have to wear many hats, do many job functions. Everybody does a little bit of everything. And flexibility is key in small districts. But when programs and grant sources are laid on us with no flexibility, then we run into situations where we struggle with some of our monies and some of our opportunities to spend them in ways that would be meaningful for us. Is that making sense?
Yes.
So what would it look like if we sent 584 of our students to summer schools just to get them what they're gonna want?
Well, I was gonna ask a question about that. You were talking about for example, in the higher grades, you have those 13-hour sections. Is there a way to ask for a variance in terms of making up that time in summer school somehow? You're not, you're keeping the division between the budget, but you're actually using some of that. Can you get creative there? Like put those kids in summer school, make up those hours in summer school with a variance from the state.
Part of the summer school is we're very clear about the state's vision for providing opportunities and not forcing people to do things. We can't require kids in the summer school. We can offer it, and we need to be open to them taking that opportunity. That was one of the very first things I was wondering yesterday morning was how do I use summer school to pick up some of this? Well, yesterday I thought this was only 3 days. How do I use summer school? And we need to have staff to work summer school because it has to be an 80-hour program. We have to somehow get the kids there who they want summer break. They've had a long school year. And I worry that we would get enough kids to show. I'm currently worried that I have enough people interested in working summer school. If I don't have enough staff to have an 80-hour program, which is one of the requirements, I have to send the whole $132,000 back. I have to think by Monday to let them know or not. And then,
say that again? You have to.
If I do not have enough staff to operate an 80-hour summer school program, then I have to send the entire grant back.
Do you think with looking at furloughs, you're going to have a lack of individuals who want to potentially, sort of make up the difference in the summertime? I mean, that sounds like
I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm not sure. And that'll be something I need to be able to hear from folks tomorrow. I've asked for a couple of weeks now, people to let us know what their interests are. Will the furlough impact people's willingness to want to do that? Or are they still tired and don't want to do it? I don't know. Very important questions to figure out quickly, but I'm not sure.
There's a question back here. Identify yourself, please, first.
Joshua Lasky, Aquilita Leeds' husband. So my question is, if we can furlough, we can end the school year early, can we start summer school earlier? Is there a date requirement for when summer school starts?
After our assigned calendar. So if we furlough those last 4 days, we're shut down, we're not operating. We couldn't do summer school until after those last 4 days.
So there's a hard date for that?
Yeah.
Well, we face legal action from union for changes to the contract.
Rachel, with the sale of the ONC timber, is there any way that we could receive that and help us in this? And the monies, that's supposed to be directed towards schools on those timber sales. If you know, the conservationists don't sue and stop that. Is there any way that would help us?
The state managed timber allocations are done at the state level, and I don't know what their plan is for release of those to school districts.
Okay.
Did you see the question?
Do we do it now or do we do it to community comment? I mean, you're for, Mr. Chairman. What's that?
There's a comment.
It says, will we face legal action from the union for changes to the contract by required furlough days? You want me to address that?
Well, let's wait until the second session.
Yeah, can you comment?
Yeah. Any other comments from Josh or Rachel or John?
Is your meeting tomorrow in the auditorium going to be broadcast or recorded?
Had not planned on it.
Is there any way, well.
I'm not sure what tool I have right now to do a good job of that.
Yeah, the AB part might be hard. Notes will be taken.
I will not be taking notes because I'll be speaking. I won't be double dipping. I'm pretty sure I've seen both union presidents operate. They're going to be taking pretty active notes. So I think they will.
Yeah, I want to know that we can sort of review some of the feedback that comes from that.
Okay, let's move.
I'm gonna say one thing though.
Oh,
Dollars are important, but I think, and we've all got pretty serious faces and feel like our shoulders are, we're shouldering a lot right now in terms of what we're having to share with the community and all of the stakeholders. But I also want to say there's a tremendous amount of resilience in this community. And I think being able to, meet the challenge in a positive way that benefits our kids, because at the end of the day, that's always what it comes down to, is making sure that the kids get what they need. And I am absolutely convicted that we will get through this and make it through okay, and have that resilience to do it in a way that is respectful of our staff and our students. And I think that needs to be said. It's hard news, but adversity is often the mother of invention. That's not the right phrase, but
We have tough people.
okay, thank you. Here we go.
Yep.
John, do you have any good news in your?
That's most of what I was going to share, so that's why the three of us are tag teaming. On a smaller note, we're looking at our drug testing procedures that we use at high school for sports. Currently, we're the only school district who does as much as we do. And it raises a little bit of money, it costs a little bit of money for us. I don't know that we're getting much more bang for our buck than other districts who are following the program. So I've asked Mr. Euling to review the athletic procedure for this, the handbook, and probably bring some changes to May. We haven't seen any better outcome for testing every kid at the start of the season than school districts who have a random policy, and kids are just constantly on alert that it could happen at any time. And the cost savings are probably worth looking at. So we're going to review that, bring it to you, probably have a change to the athletic procedures for drug testing.
my recommendation would be to up the stakes. Say, we'll put you on random, but the consequences of getting a positive hit is going to be that much higher. And say, we'll look at expanding the policy on, for the consequences?
It's right now pretty tough with 3 strikes.
3 strikes?
Well, by the time the 3rd strike, you're not doing any sports in the school.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Up the ante, 1 strike. You get a positive hit, you're done. You're not playing sports anymore. Why, and that might be a little bit hyperbolic, but make it hurt, If these are the rules, then you play by the rules.
The flip side of the coin is, as a board, I think it says in our policy, one of our intentions is to educate and try to help students grow through things when they're in error. And so that probably becomes the balance of, do we try to educate? So is losing your season or first 2 seasons, if you have a positive drug test, a good starting point is, hey, this is serious. And then after that, so they're going to review it. They're going to look at it. It should hopefully bring some cost savings to the overall process. And just wanted to alert you that was being looked at. So but mostly the budget was on our mind.
How many kids get popped? On average?
Mr. Ewing not being able to be here, I'm not sure. I think I hear about 1 every couple of sports seasons. So we're not seeing a lot of productivity out of those.
And we test everybody who plays?
Everybody tests at the start of the season. There's a predictability to that.
Do we know what the cost of the test is?
Off the top of my head.
Josh?
I have to look it up.
We have to pay for the nurse to do it, the cost of the test, so honestly, $5,000 or $6,000, but I could be wrong.
And that's what we're talking about in general, are those $5,000 to $6,000 bundles that do start to add up,
Yeah, for the year, it's right around there. I thought you were asking individually. For the year, it's right around that.
No, yeah, you can extrapolate the bigger number, that's fine.
So just commission the board.
Okay, let's move on to action, or to item 8, consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes from March 13th, 2004.
And we need to add the donation in there also, please.
Oh, where's that?
It's all goes on the first page under the accolades. The Armstrong Salute by David Land.
Why wasn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll.
Nice. Second.
Been moved to second, all in favor, raise your left hand. It's unanimous decision, passes. Action item A, approve to accept the Early Literacy Success Grant Award to the Reed Sports School District.
After hearing that we need the money, I would encourage us to accept this grant award for our early literacy program. We need it.
I will make a motion to approve to accept the Early Literacy Success Grant awarded to Reed Sports School District.
Second.
Motion made by Carrie O, seconded by Jack Daly. All in favor, raise your left hand. Approved unanimously, thank you. Under discussion, make sure, please, that all board members fill out that statement of economic interest filing. It closes on April 15th. Make sure you get that done.
What's the daily fine for it?
There's a $10 daily fine. After 30 days, it goes to $50.
Yeah.
A day?
Did you get it done, Karen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, Carrie?
No.
Oh, do it on the phone. It's really simple. No. Okay, good enough. And hang up. It's pretty simple.
Okay, moving on to item number 11. Now is the time for the community comments. So I can't read that screen, so.
So Joe says, will we face legal action from the union for changes to the contract via required furlough days? The contract doesn't have the power over calendar. The school district always retains that right. We need to do our best to notify the people in the associations if we're going to make those costs. I believe it's the classified contract that is asking for 15 days of notice and will easily meet that requirement. But furloughing is a right that school districts have, and it's not something that to collect the bargaining agreements address this.
Any other comments you can see on the agenda?
I don't believe there's any comments. I see a lot of stuff, people coming and going, but I don't see anything else that's been written.
Action or item number 12, board member comments. Carry over.
Jack, you want to go first?
I got no comments. I'm good.
Are you thinking about it? I'll go ahead and go and then you think about it. I'm not much of a techo kind of guy. I mean, I work my cattle on my ranch the old fashioned way. I saddle a horse and I rope and whatnot. But so I don't pay much attention to Facebook or all them other things. But you know, in this whole world, you got 5 people up here normally that do nothing but care about the kids in our community. We look after John to make sure that he hires the best people that we can put in our buildings for our kids. And we do whatever we can. You know, tonight we got gut shot here with, you know, a terrible deal through the state. But we're going to work through this. We're going to support John. We're going to support the building administrators. And we're going to do the best we can do for our kids. And when you know, if you look around this whole country, we're in trouble. I mean, not just in Reedsport, Oregon, everywhere. You know, there's kids. I was just talking to my niece who, you know, had a situation at a grade school where, you know, the young man, they're taking some heat because a young man brought a knife to stab another kid in the 4th grade. And the parents are mad at the school because they weren't protecting the kid. And there's no way they would have known. The little boy didn't say nothing. Yesterday on the school bus at Roseburg, a young man got beat up, a middle school kid, had to go to the hospital, get his head stitched up, you know, and people on the computers want to attack the school, and the school had nothing to do with it. Happened on a school bus, you know, and yeah, we're still in charge of that, but we don't know until it happens. And what are we supposed to do? So when the school district and the board and our teachers and our administrators get attacked on that Facebook, you know what? There is a every 3 years there is an election, and if you can do the job better than we are, I would be more than happy to have you take my position, or you know, whatever it would take. And this is for the folks out there that want to bash us. But you know what? Every single one of us out here, I have no children in this school district, but I've been here 33 years, and every year I fight for the kids in our school. You'll see me at games, you'll see me at theatrical things, you'll see me in the schools, you'll see me supporting the teachers. You'll see me because I believe in this school district. I think we've got what it takes to get our kids the best education and become the best members of society they can. Mr. Daly, same thing. His boys went through this school. They're doing pretty good. I had the opportunity to coach him in school. Now he's got grandkids in here. Carrie O to my left, she's got a daughter in this school district, and she's up here fighting for not just her daughters, but for all 584 kids in our school, both buildings. So I wanted to get that off my chest because I'm seeing this, and like I said, I don't pay much attention, but a friend of mine made me look at this, and you know, it just irritated the heck out of me. And you know, if you got something to say, this board on the 2nd Wednesday of every month is wide open. Come on in, sit down, and put your name on that list and speak your piece. And let me tell you, don't think that we're going to back down, because we're going to get to the root of it, and we're going to get it taken care of. But us as a board, I'll speak for all 5 of us, we believe in our superintendent, we believe in our administrators, and we believe in every one of our teachers that's in these buildings. So you folks out there that want to bash us, come on, bring it on. I'll even learn how to do that Facebook stuff, and I'll meet you out there in the airways. Go ahead, Carrie O.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well said.
Sorry, I'll get up my soapbox. It's kind of getting a little creaky now.
That's all right.
Thank you. I think that's a fine ending.
Mr. Chairman, there's one more question, and I can answer it quickly. Tom Wright, I take it this means the science department will not be able to adopt new curriculum this year. We do have to plan for an amount of curriculum adoption as part of the budget. Could say 0 and nothing, but then you've got a 7-year problem by not addressing it. So when you look at a budget and you look at programs and staffing and systems, you might shave a little bit off of everything, but you don't just make one overall cut in an area, because that will be a compounding problem. So we do need to pay attention to and have money for at least a certain level of adoption.
Okay, thank you. Hope that answers your question, Tom. Future agenda, May 8th will be our first budget meeting, committee meeting. That's at 4:30 here. May 29th will be the second one if we need it. Looking at things right now, we may need it. And then June 20th to the 22nd, anniversary Seaside Conference, and our superintendent will be attending that and hopefully have some great information for us.
I thought that May 8th was supposed to be, I thought they were both supposed to be 4 o'clock, because we have a board meeting that night as well, don't we? I would prefer 4 o'clock. That would give us closer to an hour and a half opposed to an hour.
We might need it at this point.
Well, we have, if Sherman can get a hold of
Do
the.
we want to move earlier? Can you come over earlier? I think everyone's pretty flexible and that's far enough out, but if you want to go 3 o'clock to kind of.
I don't see an issue. I don't have any issues with that. I can do 3 o'clock.
I can't do it 3 o'clock.
Can't you? Is 4 the earliest you could do?
That's your
You
hair
do 3:30?
appointment?
What's that?
Is that your hair appointment?
No, they're gonna stick a needle in my chest.
Ew.
Give me some goat juice. Boy, we're gonna be pushing it 4. I mean, that's 4:30 was gonna work for me. That's if Coos County's not on the highway between Coos Bay and here.
But I do think it was original. That's what I have it in my calendar for is 4 o'clock was the original.
I've got it at 4 o'clock on my calendar also.
Well, then let's get, Sharman, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
We need to change that budget committee meeting time to 4 PM, please,
Yes, sir.
on the 8th. And also on the 29th if we're gonna need it.
I have 4 o'clock too.
I had 4:30.
Well,
Oh, well.
see what you're doing with the,
Yeah, I think we approved it at 4 o'clock.
just come in as hot as you can. Drive safe.
Okay, hearing none, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending, for sitting out with us. Sorry that the news couldn't have been cheerier, but we're adjourned.